All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're talking about a much smarter way to think about and use robots, moving past all the hype to figure out what actually works in the real world. Our story starts, believe it or not, back in 1982. General Motors made this huge announcement that they were building the factory of the future. It was supposed to change everything. But as you're about to find out, their crystal ball was, well, it was more than a little cracked. You see, they had this incredible ambition, something they called the lights-out factory. The idea was a production line so completely automated, so full of robots, you wouldn't even need to turn on the lights for human workers. Sounds like sci-fi, right?
And just get a load of the scale of this dream. We're talking an army of 4,000 robots. They were expecting a 300% boost in productivity, and they wanted to shave 2 entire years off their production cycle. This was a vision of total, absolute automation.
So what was the reality? Well, it was chaos. Complete and utter chaos. Production costs actually went up. The robots were trying to put the wrong bumpers on the wrong cars, and my personal favorite, this quote right here says it all. They started spray painting each other. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It was an absolute mess. So you might be thinking, okay, that was the 80s. Technology was clunky. But here's the thing. GM's failure wasn't just a one-off. It was actually an early warning sign of a much bigger, more persistent problem. Something we now call zero-sum automation. And this problem just keeps popping up, again and again. Fast forward to 2017. Tesla hits what Elon Musk himself called production hell, trying to over-automate their factory, and he had to admit that humans are underrated. The very same year, a major cancer center had to pull the plug on its big IBM Watson AI project. See the pattern? This isn't an old problem, it's a recurring one. And this gets us right to the core of the issue. Zero-sum automation is basically a fundamental trade-off. It's a strategy where you're chasing every last drop of productivity, but in the process, you sacrifice your ability to adapt, to be flexible, to innovate. What you gain on one side, you lose on the other. It's a zero-sum game. Let's just break that down. On one hand, yeah, you get some gains. You get higher productivity, better accuracy on repetitive stuff, and more consistency. But the cost? The cost is huge. You lose flexibility. You basically shut down innovation from your own employees, and you lose your ability to adapt when, not if, but when things change. Okay, so if that lights-out total replacement strategy is basically a dead end, what's the alternative? How do we actually get the amazing benefits of automation without these crippling side effects? Well, the answer is a completely different philosophy. It's called positive-sum automation, and the whole point is to get the best of both worlds, productivity and flexibility, together.
And the key here, the really big idea, is that it's not a trade-off. Positive-sum automation is all about designing and using technology that doesn't just replace what people do, but actually makes your human workers more capable, more innovative, and frankly, more essential than ever.
But how do you actually do this? This isn't just a feel-good idea. The research shows there are 3 really clear, actionable principles that lead to success.
It all comes down to these 3 pillars. First, the tools have to be understandable. We're talking simple interfaces that the folks on the line can actually use, adjust, and even fix, not some mysterious black box. Second, you have to get your people involved from the very beginning. It's got to be a bottom-up approach. And third, you have to measure what really matters, not just machine speed, but things like flexibility and innovation.
And that second point, it is so important. When automation gets pushed on people from the top down, you get pushback and resistance. But when you empower employees to find and build solutions for their own tedious tasks, you get buy-in, you get support, and you get way better results.
So this all sounds great in theory, right? But let's look at a company that actually did it. Meet G&T Manufacturing, a small 20-person factory in Ohio.
Just look at this transformation. Before, it was 1 person per machine doing all the heavy manual work. After they took this new approach, 1 machinist was supervising 3 machines, focusing on higher-level stuff like programming and troubleshooting. Their output more than tripled, and the reduction in waste, it was just astounding. Before this new strategy, 12% of all their material was lost. It was just scrap and waste. Think about that for a second. That's a huge cost just leaking out of the system every single day.
And after, they dropped that waste number to less than 1%. This is not a small tweak. This is a fundamental game changer, and it was all driven by empowering people with the right kind of tools.
So this brings us full circle to a whole new vision for the factory of the future. It turns out GM's whole lights-out dream wasn't just wrong, it was the opposite of right. The goal isn't to get rid of people. The real lesson from all the companies at the cutting edge is this: you can't have both productivity and flexibility unless you have humans in the loop. They are the source of all the learning, the improvement, and the adaptability that no pre-programmed robot could ever match. So, here's the bottom line. Stop chasing that lights-out myth. Automation isn't about replacing people, it's about augmenting them. True success comes from giving your employees flexible tools they can actually understand and control. The goal is to make your people more vital, not obsolete. And that's the final thought I want to leave you with. The real vision isn't a factory with no people. It's a factory where technology makes human skills and human creativity more valuable than ever. So the real question is, what could that look like for you?